your videos, our choreographers can, give you hints and how you can improve, and then they can all come together and perform the same thing.
Ram, but one of the issues in this, and I'm sure you face this, is there is still a lack of connectivity. India is changing, connectivity will come, and hopefully in the next 3 or 4 years it will be more ubiquitous. Right now there is a lack of connectivity. Is that one of the reasons why you took the decision to go back, in a sense, from digital to slightly older media? I'm not sure you can call Tata Sky old media, but at least back on the television set, because that's what you did. You took the same product and you said, I'm going to put it on back on Tata Sky.
It's an excellent question. You have to evolve and you have to see what the audience needs. And our vision was simple, that everyone should have an opportunity to learn. No matter where you are, no matter how big you are, how small you are, it should go to the last mile. India is still in its nascency, I would say, in broadband technology. And the cost of content, the cost of gigabytes of data is still too high. And that'll change as Wi-Fi becomes public, as you get 4G penetration everywhere. We will leapfrog that problem. The other problem we were suffering from was there were no good payment gateways. And that's all changed since demonetization over time. But in the process, what we said is to get to the last mile and to enjoy it as it should be enjoyed. Our product, and we had almost 150 hours of content, over 1,800 lessons, needed to be everywhere. And so one of the partnerships we brought in was with DTH. And one of our first partners was Tata Sky. And we took it out to 15 million people. Within 3 weeks, we had 100,000 paid subscribers. So this provided a means of monetizing it. More importantly, provided a low-cost way to take it out. And when you think about it, one dance lesson is 700 rupees. On our platform, for a month of 150 hours, it's 99 rupees. On Tata Sky, it's 59 rupees for a month. And so what we've done is we've really disrupted how you learn. At the same time, we took those same lessons on ground now to 11 schools in India, and we're increasing every single day. And we're taking the same people we trained from the app and from the other environments and giving them jobs. And so this is the ultimate Skill India project, where you learn, move, and unite. And at the same time, another adjunct which we thought was interesting is I put a heart rate band on her. And during her dancercise lessons, in 15 minutes she had burned almost 400 calories. Her heart rate was sustained 130 to 150.
And it's probably a lot more fun getting Madhuri to teach you to dance, burning calories that way rather than being on a treadmill.
And that actually came out.
Give me your cardiological advice now. Is it actually the same? Don't run on a treadmill, learn to dance.
No, it's a whole different world. You're using so many muscle groups and actually having fun. And the hardest part is getting...
That's your professional advice as a cardiologist.
Absolutely.
You're sure.
Do something you love.
Ditch your statins, ditch the treadmill, and start dancing.
Also treadmill can be so boring. You're just at one point and you're going nowhere. You're trying hard to go somewhere, but you're not. And when you have like someone, teaching you and dancing, and put your hand here, now you're like there. Your mind is into thinking and trying to coordinate everything. That ye haath ye dana hai, kaise hai, kahan pair jayega. And you're thinking of all that, and it kind of, the time just goes. It's 30 minutes are up, and you're like, wow, I sweated out. I didn't realize 30 minutes are gone, and you have fun in it.
All right. I think you've convinced a lot of people in this audience to certainly give it a shot. But I have to ask you this question. The type of dance that people want to learn. Now, I don't want to in any way badmouth some of the dance trends that you're seeing right now, but you spent years when you were a kid learning Kathak. That's difficult and it's complicated. If you see some of the dance steps in Hindi movies right now, it sometimes seems you just have to wear very few clothes and review a little bit, and that's dance.
And that's difficult too, because you have to look good also while doing that. But I won't say that, I won't criticize what's going on, but if I want people to get reintroduced to something that I have learned, something that my experience has been, I'm sharing that experience with them through Dance with Madhuri. Because we have the best of choreographers. We take up the Bollywood dances because Bollywood is famous, and you cannot run away from the fact that people love Bollywood, and that's why I am who I am. That's why people love my songs, they love my dances. But I feel if they want to learn that, nazakat kya hai, you know, what it is. We are not only teaching Bollywood dancing, we have all types of dancing. Whether it is Indian classical, there's Bharatnatyam, there's Kathak, Maharaji has taught Kathak, the best dance guru you can ever dream of or learn from. So those nazakat, those adain, everything is there.
No, so that's exactly the point I'm trying to ask. But in the present, in 2017, is anybody interested in nazakat or adain or even grace for that matter? Because sometimes what you see has got none of those. There's no nazakat, there's no adain, there's certainly very little grace. I'm not saying everywhere, I don't want to make generalizations. But there are some people, and I'm sure you must be seeing, when you're seeing movies right now, you're saying,
People are
you
craving.
could do what you're doing, but do it with a bit more grace.
No, people are craving for that. I mean, why do you think the songs that we have, like my song, say, for example, from the 90s, Choli Ke Piche Kya, any of the songs that you pick up, why are they still popular? Why are people still watching it? Why do people still love me? You know, it's adain, they like it. They want to see it, they want to see more of it. And that's why, you know, songs like Kahe Chhed Chhed Mein or Mohe Rang Dulan, you know, people just love to watch those songs.
I think one thing you bring up a very good point, that Bollywood, by and large, is the most popular form in India. But the thing is, the audience for the classical dance forms is there, and the problem is, how do you make that sustainable? How do you get people to get interested if they've never ever seen it? And particularly in some places, you don't have access to this. So when we have 35 different dance styles, ranging from classical Indian to jazz to contemporary, the other interesting part, which you'll find interesting, talk about Made in India, 50% of our audience is actually overseas. And not just Desi audiences, but they're learning and they're uploading thousands of videos. And so what we're learning is we're sparking a revolution and bringing together a community platform. And that's what we wanted to do, that how do you translate passion in film, in music, in acting, in dance?
You must be having user statistics. What are the young most interested in learning? Are they interested in learning some of the better forms of dancing, or are they all saying, well, show me a little bit of hip hop and jump up and down?
So it's very interesting. We have deep metrics on various different platforms, and so we know every user's journey, and we help them along. We have users from 5 to 80, but our predominant pool is from 18 to 44, and 70% of them are women. Now the interesting part is fitness was, by and large, something people do every day, and they use it for that. But when you look at it, there is a subsection of people learning Kathak and Bharatnatyam who are very dedicated to what they do and stick with the program. By comparison, for the shadis, they come and they'll learn Bollywood with all of their friends for 30 days, and then once the Sangeet is over, they will then come sporadically.
But it's still a minority of people who are wanting to do the more traditional dance.
I mean, it's hard to know because our numbers are only about 3 million and we have 31.5 million video views. But I would say it depends on where we're catching from. So to answer your question, I would say the majority are definitely Bollywood, and that's worldwide. But at the same time, there's a significant minority who are learning real stuff and never had access to that.
Okay, before I allow the subject to go, so how often is it that you will see dances or songs being done on the screen right now when you watch movies and you say, I could do that but with a bit more grace?
I have to answer this question.
Yes. I think Karan did ask you that question.
But first of all, let me tell you that, you know, some of the steps the girls are doing now are, there's so much acrobatics and they're doing so many things which maybe it's impossible for me to do, like I couldn't be able to like jump like that or take a cartwheel or something. But sometimes I do wish that the camera would stay a little bit and just show a little bit of expression, what the girl is feeling, and not just with the body, but also with the face.
Yeah. And in item number 4, it's not that you haven't done naughty songs, no, with naughty lyrics, but you did them in a slightly different way to some of the items.
Because I had a lovely guru, Sarojji, who was choreographing for me for those songs. And like I said, there's a lot I've learned from her, and it's something that I want to share with my fans or my followers or people who like to see me dance or who want to dance like me.
So when it comes to learning things and learning things digitally and online, and I think, Ram, to take your point forward, this is going to be one of the, perhaps the biggest trend that we're going to see digitally. Learning, education, people trying to get information out of digital means is perhaps going to be one of the big trends of our time. Where else can you push it? Before I come to him on that, could you learn acting to an act?
Yeah, why not? Yes. There are courses of acting, though I have never studied acting before I started working. But there are courses, there are institutes out there which teach you dancing. There's the Pune Institute. Yes, it is possible because it is basically expressions and it is, what you feel, and you can talk to people and, teach. It's easy to teach, in fact, acting than dancing, because dancing is a lot of movements and so people have to follow that. But with acting, I think it's going to be a little easier to do.
So I think you've kind of taken our business plan and roadmap out of place, because music and acting are actually our next two coming. What we built was an IP structure. You can populate it with anything. And the idea was, it's almost three things. It's brand, content, and construct. The brand should be a domain authority in that area. The content should be world-class, filmed on the sets of any studio in the world. And the construct should be able to deliver it. I mean, this was one of our principal issues, that with her popularity, our servers on Amazon were crashing. We had to redesign them so they could handle 1 million users a second. And so, we had to do a lot of stuff, and now we're in a position to do that. Second thing is, in India, method acting and really focused study was not even there until recently. And so I think there's an opportunity there to take it forward.
Yeah, well, it's the era of transparency, so I might as well get your full business model for the next 8 years right out here. Forget the audience, don't worry about the fashion being televised. When you do your medical app and be taking medicine to the population.
We're already...
You don't have to answer that.
No, we're already working on it, and the idea is simple, right? That everyone should have access, 24/7, 365 days a year, from the best. And the second thing is, what you have to do is empower the patient and scale the doctor. And to do that, we're building something which is very unique, which will hopefully change the way medicine is practiced. Because I think the biggest problem I see in this country and worldwide is a scarcity of resources. There's 1.25 billion people and only 1.6 million doctors, of which 800,000 are allopathic. On top of that equation, when you go into the rural areas, which is 70% of India, only 2% of all MBBSs make it out. And so, in order to do that, this digital gateway provides the infrastructure.
But the risks are slightly higher. If somebody learns a wrong dance step on the internet, alright, learn the wrong dance step, you're going to make a fool of yourself at a wedding. If somebody gives bad medical advice on the internet, you could kill someone.
Yes,
so that's why.
And the idea is simple, that you engineer how people behave. You change their habits fundamentally, build in wearables, and then you have physician care extenders who are using your devices to deliver care. Because the problem is you're not going to be able to get more doctors. We don't have enough med schools, we don't have enough armamentarium.
Now, extending this to taking Indian culture, Indian industry, Indian films to a more global platform. Ram was saying that it's not just Indians or Desis abroad who are watching this. It actually does spread to the general populations there as well. And how tough is it to explain to them what Indian dance is? I'll give you an anecdote. A friend of mine was here from England for a wedding. His daughter said, I actually understand the way Indian dance works. There are these steps. You do change the light bulb. You do put things on the top shelf of your clothes. You spread seeds. Those are the basic steps.
Yeah, you have to kind of understand their life and what they see today. Like, there is a little step in Katha called crown, where you have to turn your hand like this. Now, whenever I teach that, I always think of what the kids today see. And then you say, hey, the pizza guy who makes pizza, he pulls the bread. So just imagine you throwing a bread into the air, and you just turn it around. So you have to, kind of understand them and teach them in their language. It's the same thing, but you're teaching them in their language.
All right, let me just shift focus away from digital for a bit. It's been about 5 years since both of you have come back to India. Given that Trump is now the president of the United States, probably a good decision to have taken.
Well, we didn't leave it up to him. We just came ourselves.
I'm sorry, can you restate the question, please?
No, I'm just wondering whether the decision to come back to India, how are you feeling about that? Is it a particularly good decision now that Trump is the president? And again, a lot of your other friends, including American friends, saying, hey, can we join you?
I think worldwide things are becoming very contentious. And as Britain would relate to what you were up with all night yesterday, it's sad because it's become a language of hate where it should be love. And India has lived, if not in peace, at least in harmony for 4,000 years. And being an Indian at heart, being here makes me happy, right? I think the US and the infrastructure we were talking about is certainly something they can share with us, or with Japan, with India moving in that direction. And that sense of discipline is there. But I would say the things I'm seeing globally, not just in the US, are a little bit disconcerting.
Right. So I've been asking for questions on social media also, and a lot of people are still absolutely fascinated and interested by the stories of your life and what happened when you went out there. So and I know you repeated some of this in the past, I'm going to take the occasion to ask you again. So starters, when you went from here back, to America, you've often said that you really enjoyed that feeling of freedom that you had at that time. You could be anonymous, you could go to shops, you could go to malls, you could do all of that. Was there ever a time when you actually had the feeling of going to somebody and saying, "Tum janti ho main kaun hu?" Flip the question a bit from what you're walking around.
Going to someone and saying, "Do you know who I am?"
You went to a shop, you went to some cop shop, you said, "You have an ID card, who on earth are you?" You said, "People know who I am."
Yeah, not really, because you know how Indians are everywhere today. Even in Denver, we did have Indians there who did recognize me. When I used to go shopping or grocery, sometimes you bump into people, you meet another Indian while you're picking up tomato and gobi and all that, and they're like, "Hey, hello, it's great to see you," and we say, "Yeah, how are you?" But it's so courteous, it's so nice. They just say, "Oh, we love your movies," and stuff like that, and they do respect the fact that it's your private moment and you should be left alone. And they say, "We just wanted to tell you that." Go their way. But sometimes, it used to get a little scary for me because I just started driving there, and I used to go to strange, like I'm just trying to find addresses and stuff like that for the first time. I've never done that in India, right? Because I always had people with me wherever I went. So for me, it was also a little scary going out on your own, not having anyone to, kind of just take you there. That's what we were used to in India, right? You just sit in the car and the driver just takes you there. Sometimes you don't even know where you're going, it just takes you there. And here you have to find it on your own. कभी लगता था, I wish people would recognize me and they would say, "No, you're going the wrong way, go that way, that's the way you want to go." But, that you have to discover everything yourself.
And of course, the big problem that you would increasingly be facing going forward, especially the second hours, when people are coming up to you and you're not expecting it, is that earlier they would ask you for autographs, and that's fine. Now they don't ask you for a selfie. And you say, "My God, look at the way my hair is."
Yeah, the day you have oil in your hair and you think nobody's going to see you today, and you're like shabbily dressed, and you're like, "I just want to go out, just get a pair of something, milk, lana hai bachon ke liye," and you just step out, and that's the day you're going to meet someone. Saying, "Can we have a picture?" And you're like, "Oh my God, now she's going to have a picture with me, looking like this." So it does happen.
What did you say? Can I
Yes,
get an autograph?
let's do it. Because you're your fans.
So there are all those pictures of Madhuri Dixit out there with oil in her hair somewhere on the internet, which people can now find. Can we put them all up and let's know? And is it, actually, again, this question I'm sure you can ask, is it actually true that you had absolutely no idea who she was?
So no one believes it, but I grew up in LA and I worked at UCLA and with a lot of the celebrities, but I hadn't grown up watching Indian films. And so the way we put it is everyone put their pants on one leg at a time. We needed to treat them the same way. And so my parents moved to London in '63 and then to the US in '73 and really hadn't kept close ties to the films or anything else, unlike many Indians, I would say. But as a result of that, it was refreshing for her because I think one thing she didn't bring out to your question is that anonymity has its benefits. And them asking her who she was not a bad thing always, because Here it's the opposite way, that she can't go anywhere, and she's a prisoner of her own fate, which is a good thing. But on the other hand, you know, sometimes it makes you very, how should I put it, constrained. Even in Denver and any of the big cities like LA when we got married, there were a lot of Indians, and so it was an issue. But to answer your question, I really didn't know because I didn't grow up watching films. I couldn't speak Hindi. I spoke Marathi fluently. And so for me, the Hindi films didn't have a draw. I'd only seen 2 films. One was Amar Akbar Anthony, and the other one was Akiza, which my mom had an 8-track tape which she would have in our car. And I knew like all the lyrics.
So have you watched all of her films by now or not yet?
I've seen the ones where, well, so there's 2 rules in our house. One is we never talk shop. So all of her awards, all of her other stuff is all at the office. And she doesn't want the kids or us to be affected. That's how she grew up. Second is that I've been to some of the film premieres and that's what I've seen, but she's not very comfortable watching films with family. And so for me, watching them separately is kind of an odd thing. And so really I've seen the ones since we were married, been married for 18 years. And so I've seen those only, and maybe a little bit from Hamad K. Cohen and Dilko Bagale. But not
You're trying to tell me everybody in this hall has seen more Marvel
I'm sure.
than you have.
Yes.
You know, the funny thing is, even my kids get a little skittish when they're watching my movies. So there was this movie called Koila, which was coming on the TV, and I was just leaving out, go out, get something, and they were watching it. And when I came back, the kids had gone for their swim lesson, and on the computer I saw this little note hanging. When I left, the song was going on, "Where You Gone," and I get a little higher, sing bum chicka bum, some song going on. So I came back home and I saw this little note, and I said, "What is this?" So I started reading it, and it was like written, "Dear Mom, why are you acting so weird in this movie? Love, Aaron." So my son had written me a little note, said, "Why are you acting so funny and weird in this movie?"
So you never actually sat down and said, okay, let's all sit together and let's get some pizza and watch a Marvel movie.
No, I think it's not me. I mean, I wouldn't want to watch my own movies with my own family. And for me, I want to spend time with them, just talking with them, playing with them, and there are other things to do.
And how are they adjusting to the fact that they would have also grown up the first few years of their life with you being completely anonymous, and now suddenly back here, you're not anonymous anymore. So how are they dealing with that transition? It must be a big transition for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a transition, but I think the kids, they chilled out because initially, years of their lives, they just know me as their mom, and they just know me as someone who takes care of them and does everything for them, and now suddenly there's this other identity. So when they were little, they used to get a little frazzled with people shoving the cameras in my face and trying to take pictures and all that. But now they have fun with it. Like they'll go and they'll be like, they'll come in front of me, they'll photobomb me and stuff like that. When somebody else is clicking. So they have fun with it now. But initially, yes, it was a little odd because they used to go to school, and my son came home one day and says, "Why is everybody asking me what's your mom's name?" And or sometimes they say, "Is she your mom?" They know you're my mom. Why do they come and ask me, "Is she your mom?" Those kind of things. And so my little one was like 7 years old, and he got, "Did you know your mom is a big star?" Somebody said that to him in school. He comes home and he says, "But Mom, you're a mom, right? You're my mom." I said, "Yeah, of course I'm your mom." So they've gone through cycles, but now they're fine.
So you're still getting the chance to do more rural type things, like ever taking them to a shop or cooking and all that stuff, which they're used to seeing you do?
It's a little less in Mumbai because you have cooks here who cook for you, and I have mine since the past I don't know how many years, 25 years. But we still have fun. Of course, we go out for movies and we do the other stuff.
But Transformer movies or that sort of stuff.
Yeah, more like
superheroes, Suicide Squad,
Iron Man, and yeah.
I know how it is. So, all right, let me just ask you one question. Internet rumor. I'm just going to try and see whether it's true or not true. Is it true that the first date you took her for was mountain biking and you almost made her go down a hill?
It was.
Mountain biking.